On Friday's show, we took an in-depth look at Oregon's kicker law, which is basically a refund for taxpayers if the state collects more tax money than they expected to in Oregon. Well, we had one of our talented editors help make a short video to help us all understand. Back in 1979, the Oregon legislature passed the 2% kicker law. Here's how it works. Before the state's 2-year budget starts, super smart folks in the government's numbers office get out their crystal ball and take a highly educated guess on how much tax money will come into the state during those 2 years. It's sort of like a game show. If the actual tax amount is less, well, everyone loses. Lawmakers have to cut budgets and everyone frowns. If they are pretty close to their guess, then lawmakers have the amount of money they expect and everything is fine. But if the actual tax revenue amount is more, 2% more or above, then taxpayers have hit the jackpot and everyone gets some of their tax money sent back. Hope that made it easy. In simpler terms, if the state thought it was going to get $100 in tax revenue, but it actually collects $105, well, that would mean that revenues are 5% more than initially thought, and that means the kicker would kick in and taxpayers would get some of their money back. Now, how much you get back is based on how much you paid in. So it usually works out that people with big incomes get more back from the government and lower income people get less. That's because those who made less paid less in taxes. By the way, the kicker is not going to show up as a check in the mail. It would come in the form of a tax credit when you fill out your taxes next year. This time around, that surplus is expected to be nearly $4 billion, meaning that kicker could be enormous, by far the largest ever. On average, it could be a couple of $1,000s back for each taxpayer. But, and I say but, lawmakers in Salem could raid the kicker fund to use it for priorities instead of sending it back to you. However, that would require a 2/3 majority vote in both the House and the Senate. And with the current makeup of the legislature, not very likely. In fact, my sources in the Capitol tell me it's simply not going to happen. The kicker will go back to taxpayers. It's a touchy subject. You sent us your thoughts last week with a good number of you saying, I do want my money back. But quite a few of you also said the money should instead be used for state projects like the new I-5 bridge or to address homelessness and addiction. And when we featured some of those comments on Friday, well, that got even more of you calling and demanding and emailing us with how you think the money should be used.
In regard to the kicker, to the state, I say, it's my money. Send it back. That's all. Just send my money back.
Concerning the kicker, you know, I've been a long-time taxpayer in Oregon, lifetime taxpayer in Oregon, and I want my money back. I want my money back so I can pay next year's taxes.
Well, there is that. Shane says, I absolutely want my kicker tax. I feel the government has proven themselves inept at doing anything correctly. Give me my kicker. I'll decide how to productively spend my money. Debbie says, times are hard right now and most of us can use the kicker. Even the wealthy deserve to get their kicker. They paid taxes too. Oregon taxes are outrageously high. We look forward to the kicker. Please do not use our kicker money to fund projects. But not all the comments went that way. Several of you do think that the surplus should be used for state projects like the new I-5 bridge.
I think the state should reserve the kicker fund and use them to help build the bridges and help out the homelessness, all that kind of special project, instead of giving it back to everybody, including especially the super rich people.
I think that the $3.5 billion or $4 billion ought to be used for the bridge and to help the homeless, to build places for the homeless. That'd make more sense to me.
All right, thanks, Jenny. And then there is the urban-rural divide. We heard from a few of you who make a very good point when it comes to people from the western half of the state who say the kicker should be used to help build the new I-5 bridge. A viewer named Steve says, do you find it ironic that all that 1 week you reported on Greater Idaho and Eastern Oregon not being heard, and then tonight callers want the kicker spent on a bridge the eastern folks may never use?
The kicker money should not go back to people as cash or even a tax credit. It should be spent on the infrastructure. But recalling your story on Greater Idaho, it should be statewide. infrastructure, not just the interstate bridge between Vancouver and Portland, but statewide. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of bridges and roads and other issues around this state that need to be repaired, replaced, or fixed. That's where the money needs to go.
Interesting points there. Thank you. And finally, several of you think the kicker law should just be repealed. One viewer named David calls it insane. And Paul explains, I look at this from the perspective of anyone's personal finances. You have good years and bad. Some years you make good money and save. Other years you get hit with expenses and come up short. Then you have those savings to get you through. He goes on, giving away our surplus in the good years is not how we manage our personal finances. Government should not either. Oregon should eliminate the kicker. All right, thanks everybody for your input. And what about the rest of you? What do you think about the kicker? We know it's very popular for a lot of people across the state, and it seems most likely that we will be seeing quite a bit of a tax refund during next year's tax season. But send us your thoughts. Email thestory@kgw.com or call and leave a voicemail. The number is 503-226-5090.